Hello and welcome to Friend Update episode number 8. I'm Dan Wood.
And I'm Adam Spring.
Now, we've been talking about development over the last couple of episodes. Today, we're actually going to be showing you some real-world examples of someone who's been porting their favourite games and applications and has some really interesting future ideas for the use of Friend. Hey friends, and welcome to our 8th episode of Friend Update. Now, today we're going to kind of continue the theme that we've been talking about in the last few episodes, really, and that is all about development on the Friend unifying platform. And today, I will admit this is slightly surreal, being that I do actually host a podcast as well with our guest this week, but welcome to Friend Update, Ravi Abbott. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. How are you guys?
Very well, thanks. Yeah, no, good. It's like the unholy trinity.
Now, the reason we've got Ravi on is, really, you were one of the first people who actually did a demonstration of Friend on YouTube. So, it'd be quite nice to find out a little bit about what you've been using Friend for and how you first got into the operating system.
Well, it's a fantastic little OS, and it's really good to kind of play around with. What I've been using it for is doing kind of really basic stuff at the moment, which is converting Java files and embedding them in a window, simply like that. But also there's lots of things I could do further. Like, I've been waiting for extra features to come out, and they are starting to come out now, which is great. And it means I could do stuff like Java implications of a Winamp. I'm trying to actually convert that, and I'm going to try and do some videos of getting some more serious software in there. And at the moment, actually, they've got the software catalog, and some of my apps are up there, which is really exciting to see my apps on kind of a store. It's fantastic.
So what drew you to the platform then?
Friend, well, I've always kind of been interested in the cloud, but a lot of people are scared of the cloud and they kind of fear it. But I think if you're controlling it, then you've got that sense of control. It's safe and everything. Then it's quite a good thing to have your desktop anywhere. So I love fiddling with things, and recently I've just been hosting my own cloud on a kind of Raspberry Pi, and it's got a NAS drive on there so I can store all my own stuff. And I see Friends quite like that, actually, with the disk mounting that you could do on it. You could have all your different stuff in one place and just use it. And in my job, I'm always hot desking or working in different places. So, the time that I've got to develop could be during a conference where I'm doing the lighting or sound as well. So I can then get my laptop out and sit there for 2 or 3 hours. I can't get my big PC and bring it down, and start deving on that. So it's really useful for that. And it's also because it's a lot of people that I like have started working on it. So I was like, if these guys are into it, this looks like it's going to be a cool project.
Well, one thing that, interested me that you mentioned there is, you've been making these kind of little, kind of like portals really, aren't they, to existing web applications, and also getting them running side by side in the Friend desktop, which, is very cool and very useful. But you've kind of got a bit of a background in coding and web development as well, haven't you? What's kind of your history with that?
Yeah, so I started off as everybody did in the 90s with those awful GeoCities kind of websites with all the animated GIFs and stuff, and then frames started coming in, and then divs and all the early stuff. Then what happened, I started a fan community for this Channel 5 TV show that was one of the biggest kids TV shows in history, called The Tribe, and that got really big. We got like 20,000, and this was early days of the internet, so it was a massive forum. I eventually left that because I didn't really see much future in fandom, which is a bit silly actually, because now it's absolutely huge. Then I moved in with a guy, and we made a site called Wavoo, and he basically taught me the whole new standards. So this was during the early days of Twitter. So we used to have Stephen Fry on Twitter, and we used to say to him, "Oh, Stephen, what do you think of our website design?" And then he'd send us back and say, "Oh, this." And it's like, wow, you could actually communicate with people then, because they didn't have that much followers. And then later on, I've been developed to the new standards, which was CSS and kind of all the Web 2.0 stuff. And I was working with the Arts Council, and they had a project, the Digital R&D Fund, which was basically to create a kind of online project using art galleries and interactivity. So we created a giant kind of online project where people could submit their art, and then the art got rated in real life and people voted on Facebook. It was with another partner called Artfinder, and this was a a very successful national project that ended up getting coverage in The Guardian, The Observer and The Telegraph. So, this is a really big thing. And now the Arts Council have turned around and they've said to all of these arts galleries and everywhere, you have to get digital. So it's a thing that they're really pushing at the moment. And I kind of love that creative scene. That's how I always got into this stuff, different ideas. Like for my university piece, I had a live streaming performance where people could draw on a board and then I'd be a mile away and I could draw it on my face. And it was kind of like the physical world and the virtual world coming together. That was my thing back then.
So you really are a tinkerer then, by the sounds of it. And
yeah, more of a fiddler. That's what I'd say.
Hey, that's fair enough. But basically, in terms of where we are now and with decentralized computing and what the Friend platform is doing, what apps are you interested in developing next, or what apps really interest you?
I think a lot of the Java stuff's fantastic, and a lot of it is older software or software that's kind of been stuck into an operating system, like stuck in the Windows world or stuck in the Apple world, and bringing that to multiple formats I think is really exciting. And Friend's great to do that because all you need is the browser. You don't need to install anything else. That's it. Just get on a decent browser and then boom, you can use this anywhere, really. You could probably use it on your fridge if there's a browser in there,
Well, one thing I know, having worked with Ravi for many years and been good mates, it's you're very into your privacy. I know I got a message off you the other day saying, right, I'm coming off Gmail, I'm moving all my mail onto an encrypted private server, 120-bit encryption. I mean, in terms of, because you're quite into like cryptocurrency and blockchain and that kind of thing as well, do you see Friend kind of fitting into your kind of workflow and your idealisms in that regard?
Totally, because I think at the moment with privacy, nothing comes for free, and a lot of people think, Google is a public service and they must provide this and they must be good. They're not. They're a private company, and so Facebook. They can do what they want really. And at the moment, there's a lot of stuff with AI and machine learning. So, for example, if you upload your photos onto Google Photos, you're signing up with them to actually scan your photos and train their AI system. I don't like that. So I'd rather have mine on a kind of private server that's secure, that I know is going to be used maybe in the future for God knows what, And I think Friend's really good with that because it's open source, which is a fantastic thing for privacy. It's not this private company that can kind of just stick to the source. There's many people collaborating and they're all working together to make this stronger and securer. And I'm always a big fan of open source stuff. I think it's great to have software just available for people and that they can get involved with.
So what do you think the big uses in the future for Friend are going to be, to kind of expand on that?
I think it could be anything it wants to be. A lot of people have probably watched Silicon Valley, the TV series, and they'll know that processing on multiple devices like phones, tablets, and even fridges they had in there. Multiple devices that are kind of just sitting there, dumb machines, not really doing stuff all the time. I think Friend could really take use of that when the machines are kind of just left alone. Friend could come in and then be using it for other stuff. And, the processing power that you'll be able to kind of get if you get all these machines together in a cluster is just going to be crazy.
And I know you've already been eyeing it up for Bitcoin mining.
Well, yeah. I think that's going to be a really good thing. But I think Ethereum altogether is a really strong model. I'm very into my kind of cryptocurrency. And, Bitcoin came around, and it's like gold. It's your kind of standard. There's a limited amount. It's got a set system. There was a few problems with the system, but they've managed to fix them over time. But Ethereum is like a brand new kind of, it's like Bitcoin 2.0, it's kind of done much better, but there's also not this limit set on there. So I think Ethereum's going to fly, but Bitcoin's always going to be a kind of standard currency.
What's next for you on Friend then?
What's next? Oh gosh, I like RSS feeds at the moment. That's one thing I'm really looking into, and kind of getting the meter information that's sent out of iTunes or that's sent out of an RSS feed, and somehow processing that with Java or a website to display it in your own way, order and organize stuff. I think if I built an app within Friend and then built a web interface, I could export that app, put it on any system, and then it's a great kind of development environment. And I could also have the Friend one could have more stuff on it, more features that I wanted to test out with the community, because at the moment there is this small community, so that's not going to spread, and then I could implement them to like the wider community later. It's a really good testing ground.
Well, we talked about that on our show a couple of weeks ago, actually, that Friend is kind of a good place right now for a developer to kind of test things out and kind of become famous in this small community that we've got around the Friend platform at the moment. And like you said, we're going to see some of the games and stuff you've been working on, hopefully on the Friend store very soon. I know you've been working with Francois to get a few on there.
Oh yeah, well they're already up there, and there's some fantastic little titles. Doom, of course, you have to have Doom.
Everything has to run Doom.
yeah. But there's also CodePen, which is it's a really nice little app where you can look at examples of code and click on them, and it will show you what's going on, break down all the code for you, and it really helps with development. But also there's some multiplayer stuff, and I think this is one thing that's been massively ignored with Friend is the multiplayer aspect of it. So what you can do is you can have a normal app, and then you can put within a tag, just say, share this with all users in this group. So, instantly you can turn something that's single player into a multiplayer experience really quickly with one single line. So I think the potential for that is huge as well.
Yeah, I think on the collaboration end, Friend in general is something that needs to be explored because it's a very powerful tool for that.
Yeah, like one I've even got Game of Bombs at the moment, and that's a great multiplayer game. You can play Bomberman with anyone in the world. And then there's stuff like Polar Editor as well, which is a really nice kind of image editor, Photoshop style thing.
So if you want to try out Ravi's apps, then obviously keep an eye on the Friend store and the software catalogue that we've got on there as well. Thanks for coming on, Ravi, and I think it's your challenge now to get Stephen Fry involved in Friend.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
Drop him a tweet.
Yeah, and see if he'll still reply.
And if anybody wants to keep updated on what you're doing, what's the link to your YouTube channel?
The YouTube, I think it's The Formula, which is THE4MULA. It's a bit of an abandoned place, the YouTube channel. But I'd say the best way to get me is probably through the Retro Hour or on Facebook.
Absolutely. We'll put links in this video description. Obviously, if you've got any questions about what Ravi's mentioned, like all of us, he's a very approachable guy. Just leave a comment in this video and we'll get back to you. Of course, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, on the Friend community as well. All of those links will be provided. Thanks for coming on, Ravi, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.